they're not like grimy, nasty apartment, but they don't say luxury.
Okay.
They're middle class type apartments, and I don't know if I know that that's not like my apartment in Vegas was, on the strip, just gorgeous, brand new. And that's more of the feel I would like to give because when they walk into my apartment, I want it to be, luxury. I want it to, and so that's not what those apartments scream. They scream probably like the house they're living in, maybe, or like, I don't know, they're just middle class pretty much.
Okay. What about the cost of it? Would you be like taking on this expense as a full-time expense on top of your current, like your own living costs?
I'd be more than willing to. I'm going to, after I figure out if, like, because depending on the client, they usually offer to, when I've talked about it in the past, they usually offer, but even if that doesn't happen, counting that out entirely, I would absolutely, I mean, here right now, a one bedroom apartment would be about anywhere between 2,000 to 3,500. And the amount that it brings me, I mean, it would just be overhead, right? It's just I think it's completely worth it.
Okay. All right. So firstly, I'm going to send you a video after we chat, it's called Incall Alternatives. So, excuse me. So I've actually got a bit of a cold, so my throat will like cut out every now and then. It's called Incall Alternatives because at the end of the day, to have it in call if you're not hosting from home is a fixed overhead. And obviously, when we're working and like we're doing good, I agree the 2 to 3.5K can take care of itself. But also, sometimes I always like to hold off on loading myself up with fixed costs because once you have that cost, like you're now committed to it. And now you have to make a certain amount of money each month, which is
Right.
like added pressure, added,
Hmm.
expense, everything on top of just like your own living costs. So I tend to look at in-call alternatives, and there are a number of them. I won't spend time going through them on this call because we can use our time on other things. I
Sure.
tend to look at that first as a temporary measure until I really get the ball rolling, particularly if I've moved or I've made profile changes or, I've gone through something in my life and maybe I'm kind of working back into things just to
Yeah,
keep the pressure off me. You know what I mean? Just to
it's a
keep it off
great
me.
point. It's a great
Yeah,
point. So I'll definitely check that out. There are a couple ideas I have too, so I'm sure they're already on the list, but I'll definitely look at
cool.
that and we'll circle back next time we speak.
Okay, great. And then the last thing I'll say on this is about the like luxury, it doesn't feel luxury. Is I mean, I had a whole conversation with a girl about this yesterday because she actually has an in-call. She was happy to work from home, right? And she used to work from home, but then she got all in her head that, oh, this isn't luxury enough. And so she stopped offering in-call. But like, guess what? Her income has plummeted because she can't offer in-call. Um,
Right.
and I spoke to her about it and I said, well, what was her name? Let's just come up with a name. Leah. Leah, why, like, when you were offering your apartment as in-call, like, what happened? Oh, I got, because for her first concern was the location. I said to her, did clients come to you? Yes, they did. Okay. And did you get regulars of clients who saw you like at that premises? Yes, all of them came back. Okay. So like what does that tell us? Tells us that the client has no issue with the things that she thought was a problem. And it's because the client is really there for you and for the experience with you. Like, yes, they don't want to walk into a drug den or a sex den or something disgusting. There's an element of
Right.
discretion that needs to be there. So some clients might be a bit funny about certain locations based on like their personal situation. Like I've had a client once before who just happened to work next door to my in-call and he was like, I'm just not coming there. Like it's right next to my work. And I was
Right.
like, well, yeah, that's fair enough.
But if it's nice and it's not something, like that, then it's probably not a concern of theirs as long as the experience is luxury.
Exactly. Like, sure, it might feel nice to us to have a luxury place, and you might get the odd client that feels like, wow. But the reality is, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on first. You seems like you've got good relationships with clients. I've got good relationships with clients, and when I ask them about any escort experience that stood out to them, it is never the apartment. It's never,
Yeah,
"Oh, I walked in and the apartment was beautiful." I've certainly
you
heard
know,
of the apartment was, a drug den, but otherwise.
right.
So my
So
point
this
is,
was,
clients don't
mhm.
care about what we think they care about.
Yeah, that was actually something that came up when I was making my notes for duality this morning, and when it came to men versus women, like I'm thinking like men do not think like women do. Like it's just that
No.
that's the differences between the two are hilarious actually. But yeah, like that's a good point. That's something I'm going to take into consideration. Yeah, I
Cool.
definitely offer a 5-star service. When I always have I buy the little mouthwashes and the little all the little things that would make a luxury experience. But okay, so that's really a good point.
Yeah, and the reality is those luxury apartments pay and it comes right out of your profits. That's where it comes from.
Right,
I can tell you
right,
now, a client isn't going to pay. And I know that we're not suggesting this, but think about it this way. If you're charging, for example, 800 an hour, and then you go and pay for an apartment and you think, well, I want to put my rates up to $1,000 an hour because I'm now paying like for this really nice apartment. The client in their mind isn't going to pay an extra $200 an hour because your apartment is nicer.
right,
I know that we
right.
wouldn't pitch it to him like that, but that's just a different way to think about it. They will pay for a better $200 more for a better quality service. They'll pay $200 more for someone they're more attracted to. They'll pay $200 more for somebody who's available at the time that they want them to be available. They'll pay $200 more for somebody who they feel is healthy and clean, free of like any sexual health issues. They're not paying $200 more for the
Mm.
premises to go from a 3-star to a 5-star. They're just
So
not.
that
They
gives
don't
me
care.
the idea to maybe propose seeing a client maybe a couple times a month for the apartment. Maybe, possibly. I'm just gonna keep that in the back of my mind.
Sure. I'll send you this in-call video. The main
Sure.
takeaway here is, especially at the beginning, we want to keep costs down
Mm-hmm.
and maximize income and profit, and want to focus on the things that really matter to make us money, which is like getting the clients in the door, getting them to come back, being available, the quality of the place that you're at, as long as it's clean, discreet, and not like a total dump. But I've even known girls that have worked out of like, like a Holiday Inn. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
nothing fancy about a Holiday Inn, but their clients come, have a great time, love it, and come back again. So
Yeah, the experience. Yep. Okay.
totally.
That's yeah. I'm glad
And
we had this conversation.
they may not do that permanently as well. It's like, it's a trap to think, oh, we have to have everything perfect straight away. It's like, you know what? You could, this particular girl who worked from Holiday Inn, she did that for 6 months while she was building up her clients, building up her adding, saving money. And then when she had built up some money, then she was living in a 1-bedroom. She decided to move into a 2-bedroom, pay more rent full time. She could work from home. Do you know what I mean? Like
That's
we don't have to
exactly what I
have,
did. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of my career, when I was charging like 350, like I was at the budget suites. I don't know if you know what that is, but that is,
yeah.
you know, yeah. So that's and I got some of my like the one of the client. I have two vehicles, and one of them I met in that apartment, and I still talk to him to this day. And
Cool.
so that's a really good point. Yeah.
If you want to learn more escorting tips, just click the link below this video.